Good evening and welcome to the celebration of the shortlist of the award for Civic Arts Organisation and the announcement of the awardees who share £150,000. I'm here at the UK headquarters of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation in Hoxton Square, and the rest of our guests will be joining us by Zoom from across the UK and Europe. I was delighted to be asked to present these awards because the civic role of the arts means a lot to me. In my day job as the artistic director of the Young Vic, our Taking Part department hasn't stopped all year because community is right at the heart. Now, I'd like to introduce Isabel Mota, president of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, who's joining us from Lisbon.
Thank you, Kwame, I have to thank you and all the others that made possible to have this moment. These awards sat along with the other foundations initiatives that support art organizations and artists, of course. They really play a central role in society, and of course with benefits to all, including or especially for the most vulnerable and deserved people. I am personally committed to this agenda. To finish, I want to thank the panel for their work and in identifying the organizations to receive the awards, and my colleagues in the boards and myself and I greatly appreciated reading of the imaginative and human responses to serving communities in such challenging times. The panel asked that we make 4 awards, and here it is. Thank you very much, and once again, congratulations.
Thank you, Isabel. Next, Andrew Barnett OBE, director of the UK branch of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation, will tell us a little bit about how the awards came about.
A year ago, arts organisations, theatres, galleries, museums, including our own in Lisbon, closed their doors to the general public. But many refused to fall silent. These awards celebrate the kindness and solidarity shown across the UK as they redeployed their assets. Buildings for some, creativity and imagination evident as they improvised in serving their community, fulfilling their civic role. Today we see that organisations have responded practically to the question, what and who are you for? This is a question that we at the UK branch of the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation posed when we began thinking about a future for the arts. We wanted to find something holistic, which resonates in the 21st century. The notion of an arts organisation having a civic role is democratic and inclusive. It puts communities at the centre and prioritises relationships. And it's through these relationships that organisations become relevant and resilient. I want to thank the panel, Deborah Bull, David Bryan, Fiona Doring, Anissa Moridadi, Joe Verrant and Andre Wilkins for their work in identifying the organisations to receive the awards. The panel asked that we make 4 awards, 1 of £75,000 and 3 of £25,000. Our trustees agreed. They also decided to build on this year with a second edition to recognise outstanding practice and inspire others in 2022.
Thank you, Andrew. Now the Chair of Judges, Baroness Deborah Bull, Vice President and Vice Principal, London, and Senior Advisory Fellow for Culture at King's College London, will tell us about the judging process and explain King College London's involvement in the awards.
Thank you, Kwame and Andrew, and I'm really delighted to be part of this celebration today. Given the commitment the Kings and the Gulbenkians share to the civic purpose of institutions, partnering on this Civic Arts Award this inaugural year was a natural fit. And it has been an inspiration and a privilege to witness through the submissions the extraordinary stories from arts organisations across the country. And of course, a privilege to serve as the chair of a brilliantly insightful and committed panel of judges who brought such dedication to their work. Throughout the process, two things really stood out for me. First was the focus across all the submissions of ensuring that the voices of those who are so often ignored were heard and their needs addressed. And then second, we saw over and over again through the submissions the creativity, the flexibility, the dogged hard work, and the extraordinary resilience of artists and arts organisations, all of which had doubled down on their values and their missions by transforming what they do in this most challenging of years. Overall, there were 260 high-quality submissions to the award, and a group of advisors passed a long list of 37 to the judging panel. So we then had the difficult job of shortlisting just 10 arts organisations that truly demonstrated the imaginative ways in which artists and arts organisations worked with their communities to listen and to respond to local needs throughout this pandemic. The final scoring to determine the awardees could not have been tighter. Given that all the shortlisted applicants were doing extraordinary work and that each could be a winner in their own right, it was not surprising, as Isabel has now revealed, that we're awarding not 3, but 4 prizes in this inaugural year. Given the quality of the shortlisted organisations, I'm especially pleased that 10 King's students from the Department of Culture, Media and Creative Industries in our Faculty of Arts and Humanities have had the chance to develop case studies of these organisations, exploring and capturing their approaches and highlighting the depth and the breadth of the shortlist. They truly exemplify the civic role of art at a time when it could not have mattered more. And these case studies will create not just a learning resource, but a lasting legacy of their achievements. So I'll now hand back over to you, Kwame, and I think you're going to introduce the 10 shortlisted organisations.
Thank you, Deborah. Now we're going to take a look at the wonderful work of the shortlisted organisations. For Devron projects in Aberdeenshire, lockdown led to a rethink of their local global artist in residence policy, leading to a local honesty shop with baker in residence. This became a focal point to meet, and an online global slow marathon grew a community of walkers worldwide to share their lockdown walks to circumnavigate the world, resulting in a collage of 1,500 photos of the sky.
The most impressive thing about Devron Project's response was how it so creatively adapted its mission of blending the local with the global to tackle the problems of food shortage and isolation. An artist became a baker to create a locally powered honesty shop, and a virtual slow marathon encouraged local and global citizens to walk together at distance while caring for their surroundings, finding comfort, empathy and creativity under the sky we all share. A true example of how the arts can empower rural communities to feel like they can change the world for the better and that they too live somewhere.
Eden Court Highlands in Inverness formed a partnership with the Highland Council to repurpose their staff team and facilities as the humanitarian aid centre for the region. Their work with the community included activities for children of key workers, packing and distributing thousands of food parcels each week, and turning their venue's restaurant windows into a temporary community exhibition site to display a collection of Black Lives Matter banners.
The most impressive thing about Eden Court Highlands' response was how prepared it was to completely transform its building for the community. Almost overnight, its theatre was reimagined into a humanitarian centre for the region, generating over 1,000 food parcels every week to those who really needed support. To adapt so quickly shows a true commitment to the community and is a reflection of its vital presence up in the Highlands.
Coventry's Ego Performance Company Limited shifted its activities from being physical to virtual, supported by doorstep visits and mentoring. Members asked for an exploratory skill-based activity, which led to the Sketchbook project, with each participant receiving a sketchbook and an array of art materials to explore and reflect the changing world around them, resulting in an online gallery of saleable artwork to generate income. Online exploration of creative processes and skills building, giving members ownership, agency, and autonomy, led to Coronation Street, yes, a weekly soap opera reflecting the everyday experiences and talents of a diverse, young, mainly marginalized community. It was filmed remotely and streamed on Ego Performance Company's growing social media channels with support from Coventry City of Culture Trust.
The most impressive thing about Ego Performance Company's response was their resilient and creative project, Coronation Street. Ego's members devised, performed and filmed a soap opera from home. For those without internet access, Ego made sure that they were not left behind, sending them creative resources to document their experiences and facilitated socially distanced doorstep catch-ups.
Friction Arts in Birmingham responded to the pandemic in a range of ways, from supporting freelance artists, setting up a directory of creative inquiries at 2 food banks, allowing their outdoor spaces to be used for local community groups to meet once permitted, to create new online expansions and additions of their youth programs. They researched and piloted the use of parks as community meeting and creative spaces.
The most impressive thing about Friction Arts was the breadth of efforts they made, from creative inquiries at the local food banks, asking people what they needed and wanted and making sure that they got that in their bespoke art packs, to supporting and encouraging local artists and cultural practitioners to apply for the funding because they are worth it and it was there for them. When compared to the size of the organization, it's astounding what they did and have been doing.
Heart and Soul, based at the Albany in London, came up with a system whereby staff made weekly calls to 160 participants to keep in touch and consult members on their needs, formed a steering group to co-create an online program of activities for those with learning disabilities, including club nights, quizzes, baking sessions, and an online gallery of artwork, resulting from the creative packs which were posted out every fortnight, which provided regular work for freelance artists. They also produced easily understood guides to staying safe in the pandemic and how not to be lonely in lockdown.
The most impressive thing about Heart and Soul's response to the pandemic was the way they saw the limitations in the digital space and recontextualized this as something positive. They created an equitable environment for people to feel connected. Also, through their creative packs and community fundraising efforts, they touched people's lives not only artistically, but by uplifting and helping the people who needed it the most.
Key Changes in London developed Studio Connect, allowing specialist music mentors and artists with mental health challenges to be connected remotely. This was accompanied by online and socially distant choirs and workshops for participant artists living in high-risk settings, and an independent record label for artists with lived experience of mental health challenges.
The most impressive thing about Key Changes is how the organization managed to give relevance to its principle of inclusion and equity despite the whole world focusing on COVID-19 crisis. And this is more than fundamental in a society that is always more often focused on itself without considering those individuals that are stressing to get comfortable in it. And again, it's wonderful how Key Changes managed to stay faithful to its mission, but also to expand it, understanding that even more people could have gained benefit from its work.
London's Museum of Homelessness consulted with health specialists and with partners Streets Kitchen, the Outside Project, the Simon Community, and the Union Chapel to co-create a community-led COVID-19 homeless task force and published a plan to help the homeless community. To block book empty hotel rooms for the community to self-isolate, which was adopted as national strategy to bring 29,000 people into safe accommodation. The task force formed a group of 50 volunteers partnering with the council and many local organizations to produce and distribute meals and connect with those in isolation.
The most impressive thing about the Museum of Homelessness and their task force was the way they combined creativity and cultural heritage with fearless on-the-ground activism and tireless campaigning. Their community-led approach not only fought for rights and support for homeless people during COVID-19, but generated building blocks to a future that sees an end to homelessness for good.
Quiet Down There, CIC from Brighton, prioritised the most affected by the pandemic, providing community meals and one-to-one meetings in outdoor locations for those in vulnerable situations. They showed leadership in their community, highlighting the overlooked stories of laundrette staff who continued working but had not been acknowledged as key workers, forming creative community hubs involving 6 artists and 30 laundrettes.
The most impressive thing about Quiet Down There's response to the pandemic was that they were able to listen to those who were overlooked, and by that they created a fruitful dialogue between members of the community.
The Big House Theatre Company in London stepped in on behalf of their members who are care-experienced young people to liaise with support services which were difficult to access due to the pandemic. They also provided resources and support by way of counselling, financial advice, as well as new online theatre courses and workshops. This resulted in The Ballad of Corona 5, co-written to address the harsh realities of what has happened to some of the city's most marginalised young people.
The most impressive things about the Big House Theatre Company's response was their agile resilience. Their play, The Ballad of the Corona V, adapted the Bubble 6 and social distancing rules, which I found very innovative, and captures the difficult and unique time of 2020. I also think it preserves and suggests new practice to live performance.
Manchester's The Whitworth rewrote their mission to respond to the extreme social inequalities exposed by the pandemic, adhering to 3 key principles: learning through making and doing, creating a place of care, consideration and community, and taking action. The Whitworth's expanded online program engaged almost 300,000 people throughout the pandemic.
The most impressive thing about the Whitworth's response was how they took the time to further refine the focus of their already exemplary work, to not only support their community during this intensely difficult time, but to ensure that they continue to be a driving force for change and equity in their locale. They identified health, education and justice as central to their work and have put an innovative and robust framework in place to ensure that they can continue to be a beacon for social good in the future.
Thank you, Kwame. You've reminded me once again what an impressive shortlist we had to choose between. But it gives me great pleasure now to introduce the first awardee, receiving £25,000 of funding. Please give a very warm but very virtual round of applause to Eden Court Highlands.
We are delighted, humbled and overwhelmed to have won one of the £25,000 prizes of the Civic Arts Award, especially when there were so many other incredible organisations that both applied and were shortlisted. It's going to have a really important, significant impact for Eden Court, not just in terms of our reputation, both locally in our community, but across the industry. We care passionately about embedding people in the decisions at our organisation, and this award is going to enable us to continue to push how we embed the community, how we involve local people in decision making at Eden Court, and we are completely delighted to have won. Eden Court is Scotland's largest single-site arts venue. We have a beautiful building on the banks of the River Ness in the city of Inverness. We serve the people of the Highlands and Islands in our building that spans 3 centuries. We have 2 theatres, 2 art house cinemas and 2 studios. We programme a wide variety of work across all the art forms on our stages and on our screens, and we deliver over 50 community classes a week, everything from singing for the shy to acrylic for beginners.
Congratulations to Eden Court, brilliantly well deserved, and I have loved following your work over the last year. We move now to the second awardee of the evening, and we're travelling from Scotland to London. Congratulations to the Museum of Homelessness.
Thank you so much to Calouste Gulbenkian. It is really affirming and heartening to receive this award after everything that we and the community have been through in 2020. It really means a lot.
It's such a validation to be on the shortlist in the first place, but to have actually received the award, we're truly humbled and honoured to be part of this.
And we want to give a massive shout out and everlasting love and gratitude to our Homeless Task Force partners, Streets Kitchen, the Outside Project and the Simon community. We have all worked together 7 days a week since March 2020 and alongside, you know, hundreds of task force volunteers, all of us working to try and make sure no one faces this pandemic on their own.
Thank you.
Museum of Homelessness is a social justice museum, and we do everything that you would imagine a museum would do. So we carry out research, we have exhibitions and events, but we also do quite a lot of campaigning, and the museum provides direct practical support for its community.
We're based in London, but we work nationally, and many people who are involved with the Museum of Homelessness community have been homeless or are currently experiencing homelessness.
These awards are so important because they elevate and highlight the work that arts organisations who prioritise people do around the UK. And as we face so many different social crises, it's more and more important for all of us as cultural professionals to take that responsibility and work directly with communities to empower and support everyone around us.
Many congratulations again, a truly inspiring initiative that really went to the core of a major issue that we face as a society. So on to the third awardee of £25,000, and this one is geographically located in between the two others. Many congratulations to the Whitworth in Manchester.
Really delighted to receive this award because of the way we call ourselves a constituent museum, and that it's made by all the people of the city who contribute to the making of what the Whitworth is. It's not just a building, it's networks of people who use our resources and come together to make the future of the city with us. So I want to say a huge thank you to everybody who has been part of that, and everybody who's going to be part of that, from our university colleagues to the NHS workers in the hospital across the road who work with us on our health programmes, to the educationalists, and to the City of Manchester as well, who are so supportive and really understand the role that culture plays in enhancing the lives of the people who live and make the city. The Whitworth is an art gallery. It's part of the University of Manchester, and it's an art gallery in a park. And it was created in 1889 as a space, as a civic space, as the City of Manchester was growing, that would give people a visual education, but also a healthy mind, body and spirit as they grew in life. After a year of lockdown and everybody struggling so hard to bring culture into people's lives, it's a real tonic, this award, that recognises the civic role of the organisation and the role it plays in the city and what it contributes. And in a way it gives us a huge boost going forward with our new vision, which is about using art for social change and recalibrating the whole gallery and the park to really play a role in recovery. And to do that through learning and making and doing together, through creating a place of care and consideration for everybody in the city, and for taking action, that we're a place that actually does things rather than just talks about them or paints pictures of them.
Congratulations to the Whitworth, really rewriting the vision for a cultural institution that is in and of its communities. So finally, we come to the fourth awardee today, an organisation that exemplified a civic response to the pandemic, co-creating with communities, amplifying untold stories, challenging conventional ways of working, and making a difference to people's lives. I am delighted to announce the winner of the £75,000 award and to give heartfelt congratulations to the whole team at Heart and Soul.
Yes, well, it's really exciting to be given this award, and it's a great endorsement for the belief in Heart and Soul, actually, and our belief in everybody that we work with. And I guess you know, we don't exactly know what's coming next, but the way that Heart and Soul works is that we will reach out and share and connect with our community, and that way we'll discover what we're going to be doing with this award.
We're going to speak to our community and take advice from them of how we're going to spend the money.
I just am so grateful that we can reach out to so many more people and home in on people with disabilities and leading. And I will say it again, but thank you so much for being an organisation that also believes in us.
Yeah, I mean, getting this award, and actually there being an award which recognises the work that organisations like Heart and Soul have been doing over the last 11 months, and actually where you can talk about what you have done rather than talk about the things that you couldn't do. I think that's been really important, and it's really shone a light really on organisations who've been able to be, you know, to illustrate how connected people really are with their communities and how agile they are in being able to shift and change the way that they work. And I'm really proud of the way Heart and Soul has adapted and connected with not just people we already knew, but loads of people we didn't know. And look, you know, going forward, imagining these new relationships that we can have with people. Now we've got this extra resource. It's fantastic.
In this time, arts organisations in general are giving people, especially with learning disabilities, a escape of the scary world out there and what's happening, and life can still be fun even though we're stuck indoors. And I think it's probably saved a fair few people through a very difficult time at the moment, and I feel that arts organisations help with that, so they're very important, especially to me.
Disability arts is really crucial at the moment, because it gives people that have disability a space where they can feel that they've been heard.
So Heart and Soul believes in the power and talents of people with learning disabilities. We're an arts organisation with a community of artists, participants who bring their ideas and share them with the rest of the world. Heart and Soul helps those ideas be as good as they can.
Thank you for the award. It would mean that we could work with more people who have a disability in a creative way.
Thank you and many congratulations to Heart and Soul. You're doing an amazing job in these challenging times. It's been a real pleasure to share and celebrate the huge impact these art organizations and many others are having on their communities. Thank you for joining us, and please enjoy the rest of your evening.